Nick, I want to change gears real quick. I heard you on the Dick Show last month, and you were talking about, like, Dick was asking you a lot of questions about, okay, once the legal issues are behind you, what's next for you? So I had a couple of questions. One is, what is the date when you finally get this all figured out with your case?
I don't know the precise date that it'll all be done. I have a plea hearing on the 24th of January. So the way it works in Minnesota, I'll make a plea, a guilty plea on the 24th. And then that will then kick off a sentencing investigation by the court. They need to basically make sure that I'm not like lying about something or misrepresenting something, that the sentence that's agreed upon is appropriate. And then there'll be a sentencing hearing. That could be as short as a week. It could be another month. So probably in February, once the sentencing hearing takes place and I'm officially sentenced, then any conditions of that sentencing will kick off and get started.
God,
and
this takes forever. I want it to happen 3 months ago. This is ridiculous.
I wanted at my last settlement conference, when we got everything worked out, I said, let's go. Let's just put it on the record right now. I would like to get started. I want to move on with my life. But I can't talk about the specifics of why, but part of my plea agreement involves something that the judge has to ask me specific questions on to make sure that I wasn't like coerced or threatened to do it. So, and the judge just wasn't prepared at that time to ask those questions. And this sounds like cryptic and weird, but it's not. Like, it's just part of the process to make sure that my rights aren't being violated by a lawyer or by some other coercion or something like that.
Gotcha. So
admit it. Say everything. Say everything you did. Why won't you say it? What are you afraid of?
Every story we've heard has come from one perspective so far, and there are 3 other perspectives at least on
We've
what
got
happened.
One story from Nick's perspective.
How many more do you need?
So what I want to know is, like, everyone's going to be tuned in to find out what your take is on this. You've talked about how Aaron's made himself the protagonist and the hero of every story. It was actually somebody else with these stories that he's telling. So will you, when you're able to, finally open up and tell us what happened?
Within reason, yeah. But the hard part about it is, and this is something that Aaron doesn't like have any concept of, is that there are 2 other people in this story who have not been vocal. One in particular who has said literally nothing. And there are parts of stuff just relating to me that, those things have reflections on those people and how people will perceive them. And they just want to move on with their lives. Like, it's not, Aaron's like, no, I'm just telling my story. Like, I was great. 3 other people were criminal, murderer, child.
Yeah.
Like,
it's literally how he painted
my
it.
experience, not children. Like, I just, but like, there were 3 other people there. It's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Like,
even before he told the stories, Nick, I couldn't believe it. He's just like, yeah, April decided to take one route, and I decided to go the good way and do all the great things. And someone else did the opposite of that. It's like, yeah, we know what you're saying.
We get it.
Yeah.
I don't do drugs.
The other thing is amazing about him is, like, now how things have morphed so heavily. So many of these things, it's like, Aaron, this is your idea. Like, this story was your idea. And he's like, I can't believe, like, okay. So he's told the story of how he proposed all of this to April in Vegas, right? Like, she's in the shower. He goes in there with his palms sweaty, mom's spaghetti. And he's like, babe, I just need you to get out of the shower, right? Don't even towel off. Just come sit with me on the bed, sopping wet. And I need to tell you about this thing that I want to do. And I'm really worried about it. And now he's like, April was saying how she wanted to do this type of stuff, and she just gaslit me into believing that I wanted to do it. I had no agency in any of my decision making. It's like, homie, that, like, and that's every story.
Every story. And Melton has done a great job documenting this. Every story has changed to be the opposite of what it first started as.
So here's something I've tried explaining to a few people. People don't understand Aaron. They're like, oh, he's deceptive, or oh, he's lying, or he's changing stories. No. The man has no past, present, or future. None of it exists.
Yes.
The only thing that exists is whatever he wants to be true right now for whatever reason. And he will change,
Right.
even if talking to the same person in the same conversation within minutes, it will shift dramatically. He did it on his interview
Boxing
with,
challenge is a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
Like,
we've seen it.
We just saw this today. But yeah, go ahead, Nick. You're spot on with this.
He did it in his interview with Will Heron, where he's like, Nick's only option, the only thing he could do is to shut the fuck up. Like, he just has to be quiet. He has to do it. And then 10 minutes later, he's like, he stopped talking because he's a giant bitch. And like, why would you ever not talk about it? You just go online, you just talk around it. But like, and he unironically believed each thing at each time he says it. And this is true. It's not something he does. It's not a choice. There's very little in the way of manipulation from him on that. I mean, he's an excellent manipulator, but on that front, he is dead honest. He believes the reality that he sculpts constantly, and I don't think he's aware that he does it at all.